Hello, I'm Michael, and if you're here, it's because you're as attracted to fear as I am. My father worked for many years at the BIMBO factory, where he ended up retiring after working at different locations, mainly in the Pacific. I had the opportunity to visit that plant several times, which I was very excited about, since observing the manufacturing process was truly fascinating. However, not all the memories I have of the factory are pleasant. On one occasion, while we were visiting the plant, we met other families, and there were more children playing. In a corner of the factory, I saw a girl my age, alone, with somewhat dirty clothes and an unkempt face. I felt sorry for her, so I walked over to invite her to play. The girl quickly proposed a game, hide and seek. I started counting, and when I looked for her, it was easy to find her because I followed the sound of her laughter to the women's bathroom. I noticed his shoes under a door, but when I opened it, no one was there. Then I felt a touch on my shoulder. It was her. 1, 2, 3 for all my friends. Now it's your turn, he shouted as he ran away. Far from being scared, I thought it had been a joke and ran to hide. Looking for a place, I ended up in the manager's office, where my father was, who told me that it was time to leave. I explained that I needed to say goodbye to my new friend. However, when we searched for it, we did not find it. My father even went to daycare, but he wasn't there either. We asked the guard if he had seen her, and he told us that all the families had already left 30 minutes ago. When describing the girl, the guard interrupted me, detailing her perfectly. I confirmed that it was her, and then the guard, with a serious expression, commented that that girl only appeared at night in some areas of the factory. We came home that day, and I was terrified. I discovered that I had been playing with a ghost. Soon, my father's co-workers began to ask me about what happened, since several had had similar encounters with that girl. Some even suggested holding a mass for her, but the bosses, who had never seen her, dismissed the idea. I don't know if the girl still shows up, since my father no longer works there, but this experience was something I will never forget. Upon hearing the paranormal experiences of people who worked at Coca-Cola, I was encouraged to share mine, although I did not work for that company but for BIMBO, specifically at the Sadie's in Chalco. For a year, I dedicated myself to ensuring the safety of the staff. At first, everything was normal, but about a month after starting, strange things started happening. It was midnight, and while I was making my way through the different assigned areas, I arrived at a warehouse. Although the place was not dark or desolate, since there were many people working, something strange caught my attention. I saw a man walking with his uniform stained with blood. He looked seriously injured, as if he had suffered deep cuts on his arms, with pieces of flesh hanging from them. I was immediately alarmed and, using the radio, tried to warn my colleagues of a possible accident. Meanwhile, I followed the man, yelling at him if he was okay, but he wouldn't stop. The man walked down a long hallway and turned to the right. I ran after him, but when I reached the hallway, I only found a boy arranging products on the racks. Looking around, I noticed that the man was gone. Confused, I asked the worker, "Hey, where did the man go?" His response chilled me. "Which, sir?" I explained to him what I had seen and who I was following, but he swore he hadn't seen anyone pass by. My companions began to look for me by radio, but when I told them that I had reported a badly injured man, they were surprised, since they claimed that they had not received any message from me. The rest of the shift I was shocked, trying to process what happened. When I finished, I asked for access to the security cameras to check the time when I was following the man. What I saw left me speechless. In the video, only I appeared running through the hallways. There was no sign of the injured man. Since then, I never spoke about it again until today. I worked for 14 years at Grupo BIMBO, an experience that marked my life in many ways. Although I prefer to remain anonymous because I still have family members who work in the company, I want to share the strange and paranormal experiences I had during that time. It was one of the best jobs I had. The salary was good, and they always paid on time, but it was also a place that left me with many doubts and reflections due to the events I witnessed. When I first started, my task was to repair the factory machines. On one occasion, they called me to fix the machine that cuts the sliced bread because, although the blades were new, the loaves were getting stuck. Upon entering the area, I felt a cold and heavy atmosphere, but I continued working. While I was checking the machine, a lady from the manager approached me, and we started talking about trivial things like work and family. It didn't take me long to find the problem. A piece of metal, like that of an uncoated plastinudo, was stuck in the system. I found it very strange that something like this would reach that stage of the process, since the production is almost completely automated and very hygienic. When I explained to the lady what I had found, she calmly replied that she had put the object there. Until that moment, I was on my knees, focused on the machine, and I could only see her black shoes and her legs up to her knees. But when I looked up to see her, I felt a chill. The woman had a terrifying appearance. Her hair was disheveled, her mouth was extremely large, full of sharp teeth with some missing, and small red drops came out of her eyes, as if she were crying blood. Before I could react, my boss walked into the room and asked me who I was talking to. When I looked at him and then went back to look for the lady, she was no longer there. When I explained what had happened, my boss told me that all the employees had already left hours ago. I thought it was a joke, but the security guard confirmed that there was no one left on the floor. That was the first time I experienced something I couldn't explain. Months later, I stayed working late to help install a new machine. While I was waiting for my partner, I was in the dining room with the same guard who had confirmed other paranormal stories. He told me about the famous Bimbo bear, that big figure they put outside some plants. According to him, at night the bear moved, pacing from one side to the other. At first it seemed absurd to me, something out of a movie, but curiosity got the better of me. We went to observe the figure of the bear. As we got closer, I started to feel anxious, like the air was getting heavier. The guard began to provoke him, shouting and insulting him, but nothing happened. However, the energy in the place was unsettling. At one point, while the guard was distracted, I clearly saw the bear blink. My heart raced, and without thinking, I ran back to the guardhouse. When I told him what I had seen, the guard smiled contentedly, as if he had been waiting for me to confirm what he said. Although I never saw the bear walk inside the factory, as others claimed, I am convinced that something strange inhabited that figure. Another disturbing story circulating was about the death of a guard found inside a kneading machine. Even though I didn't work at that plant, I heard stories about how it all happened. During a blackout, the guard was making his rounds to make sure no one was left in the factory. At one point, he reported on the radio that he saw a man dressed in a white employee uniform who did not want to go out. However, his colleague who was monitoring the cameras did not see anyone else in the factory. The guard disappeared in a blind spot of the cameras, and when he reappeared, he could be seen running, desperate, as if something was chasing him. He was ripping off his jacket, as if someone was grabbing him. The colleague monitoring the cameras tried to call him on the radio, but only heard screams before losing the signal. Minutes later, the light returned, and the machines turned on, revealing that the guard's body was inside the mixer. Although the official version said that he had suffered an accident or an episode of schizophrenia, rumors pointed to something more sinister. These stories marked me deeply. I don't have all the answers, but I am convinced that there is something inexplicable in those factories. Hello community. I am Santiago, a faithful follower of this space, and today I want to share an experience I had while working as a driver in a Bimbo Sadies. I hope you like my story and leave me your opinions in the comments. I work as a delivery driver, and although we officially start at 7 in the morning, I usually start at 4. This allows me to leave early to deliver and avoid traffic. However, that routine has also led me to travel lonely and dark paths, especially in the early morning. One of those early mornings, when leaving the Sadies, I took the route to my first branch. The road was practically empty, with few vehicles circulating, and on the left side of the road there was a row of tall trees. As I was driving, something caught my attention in one of those trees. It was the fourth in a row, and I noticed something large moving the branches at the top. At first I thought it was an animal, maybe a large bird or a climbing mammal. However, as I got closer, what I saw chilled me. In the highest branches of the tree, there were several ladies dressed in black and white, sitting and staring at the road. They were completely still, as if they were observing each passing vehicle. The image was disturbing, and a chill ran through my body. I walked past the place quickly, and luckily, they didn't do anything but stare at me. I want to think that they were a group of people playing or making some joke, but realistically, that theory doesn't make much sense. What were so many women doing, dressed like that, sitting on top of a tree in the middle of the night? Community, what do you think of this experience? What do you think those ladies in the tree were? Leave me your comments. And remember, if you have paranormal experiences that you want to share, you can send them to the email that appears on the screen or to our social networks that are in the video description. My name is Santiago, and for now, that's all for tonight. See you in the next video.